Hi everyone, in this video I'm going to tell you how exactly to get off the Harvard waitlist. Now before I start, I really want to preface by saying that getting off the Harvard waitlist is probably one of the hardest things that you can do. Now I'm pulling from the Harvard website itself. They only admitted about 41 students from the waitlist last year, which is approximately 2.5% of the class. And so that's an extremely challenging acceptance rate. And so I'm going to share with you what exactly I would do if I were waitlisted at Harvard. Okay, now tip number one is I would accept my spot and submit a strong letter of continued interest. Now one of the best things you can do to compel Harvard admissions to accept you is to write a really strong letter of continued interest. You'll need some pretty massive achievements to show what you've accomplished since submitting your application. I would also recommend doing this if you've also gotten deferred as well. Now, one of the biggest things that you can do to get off the Harvard waitlist is to do published research, have won major awards, or have achieved something truly exceptional. And if you want help with research, please go visit my website. It's ivyleagueconsults.com, where you can work with my team and you can get on some really good research projects. Now, step number two is I would identify and address all the gaps in my application. There's a reason you were waitlisted. What I would do is I would try and go back and look at my application. And I would try and make significant improvements by first identifying what part of my application was a weakness. So for example, maybe it was my lack of research, which in my opinion is one of the biggest reasons why students don't get into Harvard. I would work on that immediately. Did you not publish a paper? Did you not present at a conference presentation? All of those are motivation that probably point towards signs why you didn't get accepted towards Harvard. Harvard is a big research institution and they care a lot about research. Now for the students that got deferred, remember that decisions typically come around December 17th for early action, and so you have several months to strengthen your application. So even getting a research paper to the revision stage or to the publication stage can make a huge difference. You should also ask yourself, did I not get in because my SAT score was too low? Chances are, if you made it to the waitlist, your SAT score and grades were probably fantastic. There was probably one bigger problem, lack of significant depth in passion project. I would recommend spending these remaining months to make these as strong as possible. Now, let's talk about the letter of continued interest. Now, this is probably one of the biggest things that you'll need to have a successful Harvard waitlist letter. So what should you include in your LOI? Now, the first thing that you should include is publications. So if you got a first author paper into a research journal, that's a huge accomplishment. It is probably one of the biggest things that could get you off the Harvard waitlist. I would absolutely include that in the letter of continued interest, and I would talk about why this project meant so much to you and how you're able to contribute to it. Now, the next thing I would include in this waitlist letter is winning a major fellowship. So one of the biggest ones to think about here is the Coca-Cola Fellowship. The Coca-Cola Fellowship is an extraordinarily prestigious fellowship and can really make a significant boost. Other things to talk about. Maybe you founded a company that scaled meaningfully. You got acquired or you secured venture capital funding. All these are also very impressive signs that could point towards getting you off the Harvard waitlist. Other things to think about. Did you have a national level achievement? Maybe even you qualified for the Olympics. Were you a winner of a very high level award? All of these are very important things to include in an LOI. Let's talk about what does not matter in an LOI. Number one is going to be better grades. Harvard expects you to have already had great grades if you got on the waitlist. This is not important. I would not mention this. It is common and expected at a place like Harvard. New things to consider is new internships. These unfortunately don't move the needle towards getting off the waitlist. Harvard really wants big things like publications, major research awards, or other major, impressive signs. Now, the other thing that does not matter is another letter of recommendation. Unless you're having a letter of recommendation from a very important person, like a president, a secretary of state, or somebody of an equivalent status, it really unfortunately will not help your application significantly. Finally, is simply saying that you're very interested in Harvard. They know that you're very interested in Harvard. Without substantial updates, this isn't quite enough. Now, step number three that I would really do if I got on the Harvard waitlist is I would get endorsement from a credible figure. An endorsement from a credible figure can significantly help your application. What I mean by that is that whether you're having a Harvard professor, a president of a country, a secretary of state, or any globally recognized figure, this will make a huge difference to your application. And if they're supporting you, that will really change the game. Now, I will say they should know you quite well, so this isn't going to work if you haven't already built this relationship over a long period of time. And a generic letter from one of your professors or from somebody is not going to make the cut. Now, tip number four, what I would do is I would send a detailed email update. And this would be part of the LOI. So in my LOI, I would have a significantly detailed update about every significant publication that I've done, whether they've been submitted, whether they're in the process, whether they've been accepted. I would also include updates on my nonprofit work or my passion projects, and I would also discuss how many members that I've reached, and all this should be included in your application. I want you to remember that students have been waitlisted or deferred have already been reviewed. And so out of 50,000 students who apply to Harvard each year, about 7,000 apply early. So unless there's a massive update to your application, like a publication, a new paper being published, or a major award like Coca-Cola Scholarship, TASS, or RSI, your chances of getting into Harvard from the waitlist remain very slim. Tip number 5 is explain why Harvard. I would almost tell them why Harvard is the right fit for you. I would explain how you're a good fit for Harvard and how you can positively contribute to the campus life and the culture there. This is really important because Harvard takes a lot of time to really assess whether you're going to make a good fit to the campus life and contribute in a very vibrant way. My final and most important piece of advice is that it's okay to not get into Harvard. There are many other excellent schools in this world, I promise you that, and I would not put all your eggs into the Harvard basket. Otherwise, you may be left with unmet expectations that could leave you profoundly upset. I want you to remember that the chances of getting off the waitlist are profoundly slim, less than 1% in some years. In some years, even 0%. Harvard has often overfilled their classes because most students that get into Harvard will actually accept their offer there. So you might not be able to get in, and that's okay. You'll end up at a great school, and you can always attend Harvard later for graduate school. If you're interested in seeing the exact letter that one of my students used to get off the Harvard waitlist, go to ivyleagueconsults.com. I'll put the link right here in the description. And I'd be happy to help you review your letter, and I work with a lot of students during this process. Thank you so much for watching, and stay tuned for more videos.